dates of July 14th to the 20th. Save the dates, July 14th to the 20th. The School of the Holy Spirit. I will be there. Maria Vadia will be there. Tyler Johnson and guests. Michael McDuffie will do the music. Michelle Akers will also be there with us. I tell you, save the dates of July 14th to the 20th. This is a great and awesome experience that people have when they come to the School of the Holy Spirit. People all around the world are asking Maria to do a school for them, a school of the Holy Spirit. I need the Holy Spirit. Without the Holy Spirit, I am impotent. I need God, the Holy Spirit, and I need Him today. I don't only need Him at Pentecost, I need Him today, because without Him, I have nothing. And He is the forgiveness that God gives to us. He is the forgiveness that God gives to us. We are forgiven through the power of the Holy Spirit. The Eucharist becomes Eucharist through the power of the Holy Spirit. The anointing of the sick heals the sick through the power of the Holy Spirit. I tell you, our sins are forgiven at the sacrament of penance through the power of the Holy Spirit. How we need that power, and how we need to stop thinking that we're too sinful to be forgiven. How we need to know that Jesus ate with sinners and tax collectors, and He wanted them for His own. Oh yes, He had His fishing rod out that day. He was fishing for the sinners and tax collectors. Do you know that today? Are you one of them today? Then surrender. I surrender all. I surrender all. All to Jesus, precious Savior. I surrender all. The angel of the Lord declared unto Mary, and she conceived of the Holy Spirit. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Behold the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be done unto me according to your word. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Behold, I stand at the door and knock.
This has been In Season and Out of Season with Father Tom DiLorenzo. A tape of this week's series of messages is available to you with a donation when you write to this new address, Father Tom DiLorenzo, P.O. Box 602, East Boston, Mass. 02128. Please make a note of it. And remember that this ministry is supported only by the donations of listeners, so please help as the Lord leads you. That new address again is Father Tom DiLorenzo, P.O. Box 602, East Boston, Mass. 02128. And be sure to listen again next time for In Season and Out of Season.
In Season and Out of Season is sponsored by In Season and Out of Season.
July 1st through the 7th, Quantum Nutrition Labs is holding our largest sale of the year. 35% off when you buy 3 or more of any dietary supplements. Multivitamins, calcium, vegetarian proteins, fermented organic turmeric, and over 100 other dietary supplements all on sale. When you buy 3 or more, you get 35% off. This July 1st through the 7th only. Call 888-588-7578. 888-588-7578. or visit us online at qnlabs.com. That's QNLEBS.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, PhD, host of Healthline. Tune in to get your questions answered and hear the latest breakthrough information for you and your family. Our product line, Quantum Nutrition Labs, delivers what others only promise, nutrition that really works.
You can hear Healthline Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. and Saturdays at 11 a.m. right here on KXEN 1010 a.m.
Sensory sensitivity, repetitious behavior, lack of eye contact. You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
For years, Joyce Meyer has taught us how to study God's Word and use it to enjoy everyday life.
Enjoy the person that God's created you to be. Stop comparing yourself with other people and competing with other people all the time. You might as well just cut loose and be the best version of you that you could possibly be. And if you don't enjoy yourself, you're never going to enjoy your life.
That's Enjoying Everyday Life with Joyce Meyer, weekday mornings at 7:45 a.m. And catch Joyce again at 5 p.m. Start enjoying everyday life with all of us here on KXEN.
Jesus said that He is the way, the truth, and the life. Faith Talk St. Louis encourages you to follow Him.
This is the Great Gospel Experience on KXEN 1010 AM and 104.5 FM, sponsored by Evangelist Felicia Davis and the Snatching Souls from Hell Ministry.
If you're in need of prayer, no matter the hour, please call Snatching Souls from Hell Ministry, 24 hours, powerful prayer line number at 314-312-7680. Again, Snatching Souls from Hell Ministry. 24 hours prayer line number is 314-312-7680.
This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it, for the Lord is your strength. Be encouraged today when all these blessings and curses I have set before you come on you, and you take them to heart wherever the Lord your God disperses you among the nations. And when you and your children, return to the Lord your God and obey Him with all your heart and with all your soul, according to everything I command you today. Then the Lord your God will restore your fortunes and have compassion on you and gather you again from all the nations where He scattered you, even if you have been banished to the most distant land under the heavens. From there the Lord your God will gather you and bring you back. He will bring you to the land that belonged to your ancestors, and you will take possession of it. He will make you more prosperous and numerous than your ancestors. The Lord your God will circumcise your hearts and the hearts of your descendants, so that you may love Him with all your heart and with all your soul and live. That is from Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 1 through 6, and this is truly the day the Lord has made. Let us all rejoice and have a ball. On KXEN 1010 AM and 104.5 FM, Faith Talk for St. Louis, and on the World Wide Web at faithtalkstl.com.
Come on, put your hands together. I'm so glad He brought me back. Oh,
KXCN 1010 AM and 104.5 FM, Faith Talk for St. Louis, and on the World Wide Web at faithtalkstl.com. Hey, good morning. My name is Al McDonald, and welcome to This Day That the Lord Has Made. Let us all rejoice and kick it. All righty then. This is the 188th day of 2019, and there are 177 days left in this year, and this is the Great Gospel Experience. Did you know that? You didn't know it? Well, let me tell you about it. If you need prayer for any of life's many challenges, and you, like all of us, we do have them, don't we? Well, I do. I got a little bit more than you do. But nevertheless, there's help. The Snatching Souls from Hell Ministry 24-hour prayer line is available to you. Evangelist Felicia Davis and her staff are there to pray for you and to pray with you. They can be reached at 314-312-7680. Whatever your ills and ails are, they can help. That's Evangelist Felicia Davis and the Snatching Souls from Hell Ministry 24-hour prayer line, 314-312-7680. The Snatching Souls from Hell Ministry 24-hour prayer line is a sponsor of the Great Gospel Experience, and Al McDonald on KXCN 1010 AM and 104.5 FM, Faith Talk for St. Louis. Yes, indeed I do. Now that I've said that, let me say this. What else can I say? Good morning and hello and hi to all my friends and family of Temple Church of Christ at 2741 Dayton Street. They'll be having their health and back to school fair on Saturday, July 20th, 2019 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There'll be free health screenings, petting zoo for kids and some grown folks as well, great food, face painting, free haircuts, entertainment for the whole family, free book bags with book supplies, and door prizes every 30 minutes. Now, if you need more information, check out their website at www.templechurchofchrist.com. That's www.templechurchofchrist.com, or give them a call at 314-535-7458. That's 535-7458. Dr. Ron E. Stevens is the pastor. All right. I got some friends and family and enemies in the studio this morning. They're my guests. They just happen to show up unannounced as usual, but that's what little cousins do. So be it. So be it. I got some friends of mine from the Trailhead Conference that's taking place in September 20th, 2019. A little bit about it. The Trailhead Conference is a way for seekers to find new paths in life, in their relationships, in their finances, and their career, with their health and wellness, and their spirituality, and even in lifestyle practices. I asked them early on, is there anybody in the building that's a pastor? So neither nor. The guest in the studio this morning is Stephen?
Yeah, Stephen Mathis.
Mathis?
Yes.
Okay. And world famous LaShonda Thomas. I'm sorry, LaShonda Timmons. LaShonda Simmons.
Yes.
Yeah, she shows up. You ever heard of me? No. You ever seen me before? No. Okay, you will. So now I know.
Yes.
All I can do is say welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for dropping by. Now, they're here under the auspices and leadership and tutelage and the wherewithal and drive.
That's a
and
big
vision.
word. I hope I live up to it.
And one, Maria Atkins.
Yes.
Okay, so ladies first. Tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is LaShonda Simmons.
LaShonda.
LaShonda
Okay.
Simmons.
Simmons,
All right.
okay.
And I am an event planner and agent, travel agent.
Okay.
I've been in the business for about 4 years now. We do
Okay.
anything from an intimate dinner for two all the way up to large galas. And I met Mr. Stephen Mathis a few months ago, and he brought this idea, this concept. I loved it, and I'm planning to take it and run with it.
Trailhead.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Trailhead Conference. Okay, Stephen, how are you involved in this?
I'm involved because I had the idea for it.
Yes.
So
Okay.
a couple of months ago, I was sitting in bed and I thought, there's a lot of people out there who feel like they're in a midlife crisis. And over the time, we've realized that that is a really bad word to use, talking about that time in your life when you are looking for something new. It's not really a crisis. It's more like a challenge. And so that's one of the things that we've learned over the last couple of months. But I had the idea that there's a lot of people probably in their midlife crisis. And wouldn't it be good if they all had an opportunity to come together and to encourage one another, to learn from one another, and also to find out something new that they haven't maybe seen before? And started thinking about this and started putting together some ideas. What does that thing look like? I didn't know if it was a conference. I didn't know if it was something online. I didn't know if it was maybe a book that I needed to write, or if it was maybe some kind of a workshop that I needed to host. But I just had the idea for, getting all of those people together and giving them some opportunities that they didn't have before when they're all out there all alone.
Okay, now, do you feel that there are a lot of people that feel that they're in a midlife crisis?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's some research, and I don't remember the organization, but something like 25% of Americans feel like they have gone through or are in their midlife crisis.
Man. Okay, LaShawna, what do you have to say about that?
Oh, I totally agree. Honestly, I thought it would be more than 25.
I don't remember exactly the number. It wouldn't surprise me if it was much higher than that.
And I feel like now it's coming at an earlier age than later. Midlife, typically, in the past, we always thought, more in the lines of 40, 50-year-olds. It's coming a lot faster and sooner and earlier, I think.
Do you know these people? Do you know some of them personally?
Yes.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
What is their biggest complaint?
I would have to say I would say money, their career.
You got to be kidding.
Mm-hmm.
As prosperous as America is, look at Donald Trump, billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just got to look at him, and that's it. I mean, that'll solve all your problems right there, don't you think?
Well, there's. Do you know the actor Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know him personally, but yeah.
No, I met him last week. He came over to my house, had dinner.
Awesome.
No, but his is an example of the idea that money doesn't solve your problem. So,
exactly.
When he was a young guy starting out, he wrote himself a check for something like $10 million. He said, someday I'm going to have this much money. And he did. He became very prosperous. He had all the money that he wanted. He could, as much as he could ever spend. And it didn't solve his problems. It didn't give him a reason why he was alive. And that's one of the other things that I think a lot of people come to this point in their life. It's not that they don't have enough money. I think there's a lot of people that they haven't figured out what they want to do with their life. We ask a lot of people when they're kids, hey, what do you want to do with your life? We ask a lot of people when they're in high school, what do you want to do with your life? We ask people in college, what do you want to do with their life? And a lot of times people don't really know what they want to do. Part of it is because they don't know what are the different options available, but also they don't really know how the world works. And it takes some experience to learn how the world works. It takes some experience just living in the world to figure out, who you are as a person. And so one of the things that I've learned over the last couple of months, but even over the last couple of years, is that there's a lot of deep learning that you have to do as you go through life. And that's why there's not so many people who, at 18 or 22, know exactly what they want to do, and they do that for the next 50 years, whether it's in a career, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's even with your own spirituality. So and this is actually laid out really well in a book. I've got a copy with me today. It's called Understanding Comics. And you might not think that a comic book would have fantastic life lessons, but it really does, because this is written by a guy named Scott McCloud. He's a graphic artist. He's published and edited, graphic novels and things that are, drawings and stories that are in there. Part of this book is a chapter in which he outlays the artistic process. It's a 6-step artistic process. The artists go through when they're creating their masterpieces, like the things that they are very, very proud of and the things that really speak to the world. Those 6 steps are an idea and a form. Step 3 is the iconography, which is basically the terms in the language. Mm-hmm. Step 4 is the practice of putting it together, deciding what are you going to do. Then next step, you actually have to do that. And the final step is that surface. It's the finished product. So in the artistic world, that finished product is a painting on the wall, or it's a movie, or maybe it's a poem. A writer has that final poem. And all of us in this world, we ask people, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? We're asking them, what are those finished products that you want to make out in the world? But we actually learn through this process backwards. Back to the beginning is, what do you want to say and how do you want to say it? And in my understanding and my perception of this, I've gone through it in my own life, you get to the point where the things that you are doing don't match up with the things that you want to say to the world. And that's where that midlife challenge comes in.
Man. Okay, now, let's back up a bit about Jim Carrey. One of the things that I've learned myself like I agree that money does not solve all your problems, but many times if you are taught correctly how to utilize the money, it makes having the money much easier. Like understanding you, and many times you're not going to get this at church or school because they're not going to teach you. Most churches are not going to teach you how to set a goal, how to lay out a plan to accomplish the goal. You have to start looking for things like personal development to assist you along the way. How to, what you're going to do with the money once you get it and that type of thing. How are you going to invest it? You're going to incorporate and become and utilize it to support nonprofits and that type of thing. I think many times money gets a bad rap because of the many failures that we're exposed to many times by others that have had it. See that what he done? Had all that money and then died and went to hell. How do you know? In my opinion, this is what I've heard. This is my experience from time to time. Money don't solve all your problems. You don't need all that money. Y'all don't need that. One of the things one of many things that just simply sets me off is when people decide, either allude to the fact that they know what I need. I don't think nobody knows what I need better than I and the supreme architect of the universe. That's it.
That's right on.
Just in case you just joined us, this is KXCN, 1010 AM and 104.5 FM, and we're talking with the individuals from the Trailhead Conference that's taking place September 20th, 2019. If you want to get involved in the conference, how do we get in touch with you?
Lashana, go ahead.
All right, so we have multiple ways. We're now on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Tickets will be available shortly on Eventbrite. We can actually be reached at the Trailhead Conference. info@thetrailhead.com. Again, the email address is info@trailheadconference.com.
Okay.
We do have a website, trailheadconference.com.
And then we, of course, have the actual website, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How has this conference helped you? Has it helped you at all, Lashana?
Oh, yes. We've talked about a lot, especially diving deep into the comic strip, looking at the different aspects.
Okay.
Because honestly, now when I said money, people typically feel that money is the answer to all. Not saying that it is. So with that being said, looking at it deeper, seeing that, there's more to life than just money. There's something deeper than that. Finding your purpose, your meaning behind life. Jim Carrey, perfect example. He has the money, but he had the money and he wasn't happy with it. He lives a very simple life. But he's happy within. So once you find your purpose, your mission, and that's something I've been diving deeper into as well, seeing exactly what it is my mission is outside of a career, helping other people. What is it or how is it that I can be a better person in society? So definitely going through, talking with them, discussing the different options and things of that nature, it's making me look at my life a little different as well, to wanting to be a better person or finding my true purpose for being on earth.
Okay. You said in being a better person, were you a lousy person prior to discover?
I wouldn't say lousy. No, lousy wouldn't be the word that I would choose. I don't know.
Shucks.
Better is, no. But yeah, just being better.
What was that word again?
Better is. You like that?
You can always get better.
Paula?
He went there, so I had to match it. You hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. All right. It reminded me of something I heard this weekend. I was just sharing with Nadia earlier about this individual that mispronounced a word and became very adamant and indignant. Did not want to be corrected, and I was just sharing with her. I said, yes. And when that takes place in public like that, I think we should show some kind of humility and say, hey, you know what? I really appreciate that. Thank you. But the guy he kept mispronouncing it after twice, and the lady just stopped, and I says, oh wow, that's how ugly that was, But anyway, but I understand where you're coming from, though. I really do.
It's a joke.
The conference is taking place on the 20th of September. It's going to be where?
The Heart of St. Charles.
Yeah.
So it's now called HSC, and it's located right off of Highway 70 at 5th Street.
Okay.
And it's going to take place anyway. It's going to start registration 8 o'clock in the morning. We will, get you registered in the first hour. We'll have a keynote speaker, or 2 or 3 that will start out the day. We'll have breakout sessions. We'll have breakfast and lunch available.
Okay.
And then we'll have a movement session as well. So I don't know how deep we'll get into that part, but there's going to be some good things that take place throughout the day. And the day will wrap up around 6 o'clock p.m.
Okay, now you mentioned a couple of things you mentioned here in the introduction about what the Trailhead Conference will offer, like spirituality.
Yes.
Well, you have a lot of pastors there or something, or what, evangelists?
Well, it won't be a lot.
Okay.
We'll pretty much have 1 to 2 per each track.
Okay.
And based on the intake form and our attendees, how they fill that out, that will we'll make sure that the conference is custom made to their needs.
Okay.
We may not have as many people that are seeking to be a pastor or to become an evangelist or what have you. So we may not have as many in that realm.
Okay, now what I was asking was, will you have pastors and evangelists there, lecturing and that type of thing?
Well, yes, we will, yes.
Okay, anybody I know?
As of right now, we don't have anyone.
Okay.
So we're still working on that piece.
Okay.
And again, we're doing an intake form.
Okay.
So based on how they answer the questions, we'll determine which people will have in those categories.
Either one of you psychology majors?
No.
No, not at all. I was a physics major in undergraduate.
Physics?
Yeah.
Oh, my
Physics
God.
and mathematics minor. And then I taught supplemental mathematics for a couple of years.
Hold it.
What?
Oh, gosh, here we go.
Physics major?
Math minor.
Math minor?
Yeah.
Man, why are you here? I mean, why are you in the building?
Have you ever done physics for about an hour a day?
No, you know what? I know. I don't know a lot about physics and math. I know that it can be most challenging.
It is. It's challenging. I was attracted to physics because it was using mathematics to really solve real problems.
Mm-hmm.
Mathematics can get very way out there, like very esoteric. Like we're just going to solve this equation just because it's an equation. Well, physics really puts it into the real world, and I liked that. I liked, okay, how do I understand motions of planets? How do I understand balls that fall out of the sky? How do I understand cars that drive on the road? And so physics was a really application of that mathematics principle. So I went to undergraduate school, studied physics and mathematics, and then I got to the end of that, and I said, I don't want to go to graduate school because I don't want to keep doing physics. So I managed to find a job teaching supplemental mathematics education in Indianapolis Public Schools for a couple of years with a private organization. And then from there, I moved on to work as an actuary, which is the backroom insurance people. So a lot of probability and statistics with that, a lot of spreadsheets and databases. And I did that for 16 or 17 years, and it was a good career until it wasn't. And, then some things were falling apart in my life, and I was going through that midlife challenge. And I looked at that career as one of those elements. And I said, what does this job or what does this career do for me? And I realized that, one, I couldn't explain what I did to my kids. Two, I didn't feel like it was making my community any better. Yeah, I was getting a job done, but that job really could be done by just about anybody else with similar qualifications than me. And three, I didn't feel like I wanted to keep doing that for 20 years and then stop doing that and then do nothing. Like the traditional idea of retirement is, you work a job for 30 years and then you stop and then you have time to live your life. Well, I didn't want to have, one, that big cliff, and two, I didn't really want to feel like I had to wait another 20 or 30 years to actually start living my life and living out some of the ideas that I had.
Wow. Like when you mention math and physics, and especially and specifically math, one of the things that happens in school many times, for a lot of us, we are turned off by math because we didn't really understand it, and we didn't have the kind of help and guidance along the way to really embrace it. And I was reading an article from, I forget what magazine it was, some time ago, and I had an interview. Somebody was interviewing Quincy Jones. And he talked about a book that's called, the title of it is Thesaurus Notes and Scales or something like that, written by a guy named Nicholas Slonimsky. And that particular book, it was real popular back in the 30s and 40s with a lot of jazz musicians. It talked about one musician in particular, John Coltrane. He carried it with, he said, John carried that doggone book so doggone much, man, until the pages began to fall out, because that's what he used, And many of the musicians at that particular time, like Charlie Yard, Burt Parker, Duke Ellington, a lot of the heavyweights, that they did that. So either one of you musicians?
I am. I've been in choirs, and I play a little piano at home.
I
Okay,
sing
so
a little bit, but yeah.
You sing a little bit? You play an instrument yet?
No.
Why?
That's not really my thing.
You read music?
No.
But you sing?
Yes.
Way to go. That's it. That's a nice number. No, but that's one reason. I forget the name of the book, man. But anyway, Nicholas Slonimsky, man, I think he's German or Russian or something like that, man. Then it talks about notes and scales and the variations and that type of thing, and many of the musicians that are in the know, that's the book that they live and die by. I says, wow. I said, never heard of that. Like I've heard of everything before. No. But anyway, I was impressed with it, man. And I said, you know what? I just passed it on, because I texted my cousin, Elder Greg Haynes, a few days ago, and told him, say, hey, man, have you ever heard of this book? He texted me back, said, no, not yet, but I'm going to check it out. I said, okay, good deal. So, and I gather for the most part that if you had that book in your repertoire as a musician, you would be better for it. You really would. Trailhead Conference taking place September 20th, 2019 in St. Charles, Missouri. People like superstars like big time Stephen Mathis. He's going to be there. And world famous LaShawna Thomas. I'm sorry, LaShawna. I keep changing your name. I'm sorry about that. LaShawna Simmons. Are you from St. Louis?
I am.
Oh, yeah, what part?
Actually, I'm in Florissant.
Okay. All right, good deal. So what is your background? Marketing?
Customer service. A wide variety of customer service.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Selling many different things, from cosmetics to telecommunications to
Yes, I can see that.
parties.
Oh, yeah? What has been your biggest success in being a customer service agent?
I would have to say problem solving. There's always, problems, so finding solutions.
Okay.
And at the end, someone saying, you actually answered my question. You did exactly what I needed you to do. You're the first person to actually listen to what I said and found a resolution.
Was there a time that you shot yourself in the foot?
Oh, a couple. Over, sometimes, over-promising and still, not being able to deliver because it's out of my control, saying someone will be there to service you or this or that, and, I promise I'll get someone out there for you tomorrow at this time, and something happens.
That could be most embarrassing, because that happened to me. I was attempting to become a car salesman some years back. Had around, I guess around 2002 or 3, I think it was. And then I was working with this Chevrolet dealership up in North County at the time, and there was a guy called from St. Genevieve looking for a Corvette. And at that particular time, the place that I was at, they sold Corvettes, And this was a particular kind that he was looking for.
Okay.
And I asked one of the salesmen there, I says, hey, man, do you have this particular Corvette here on the lot? Yeah, we got a lot of them. And so I tell the guy on the phone that, yeah, we got a lot of them. And the guy drives from, it was Peebly or someplace in Missouri, about 40 miles away. He drives up there, and it wasn't on the lot. And I was so embarrassed. I was embarrassed, boy. I said, I've been set up. I've been set up. But anyway, you learn life lessons and that type of thing. Anything else you want to talk about in reference to the conference?
We're definitely looking for different people in the different tracks, which we'll discuss here shortly. If you're interested or want more information, you can definitely follow us. We actually have a group forming on Facebook. There's going to be a group chat.
Okay.
The Trailhead Conference. So we would love for you to join there. If you have any questions, suggestions, we're definitely open to them as well.
Okay.
I do want to mention that on Wednesday we're going to be broadcasting a webcast about this very topic, and it's called Why You're Like This. It's a profound midlife lesson, and I'm going to go through this artistic six-step process and that backwards learning that I learned from Mr. McLeod's book, and I'm going to present that as really helping people to understand why they have come to that period in their midlife when they are doing a lot of that questioning. You know, there's a lot of people that are like, I just don't, something's missing. Something's not quite right, but I don't know what it is and I don't know why. And here's the thing. If you knew that the problem was in your relationship, you know, maybe you are married and you don't want to be, or you don't want to be, you're not married and you want to be, or whatever it is, or if you're struggling with your relationship with your parents or your children, if you knew that that was the problem, you would go find a relationship counselor and you'd solve the problem. If you knew the problem was your job, you'd go get a new job. But a lot of times the people that are in this midlife challenge period, they don't quite know what the problem is. There's just something that's missing, and that's what they need to explore a little bit more. But also to help them figure out why they are in that questioning phase, I think it's good to do this deeper dive. And so on Wednesday afternoon, I believe at 1:30, we're planning to broadcast that. People can sign up and they can either view it on Facebook Live, or they're going to be able to click a link on trailheadconference.com to see that webcast on Wednesday afternoon.
Okay. You mentioned health and wellness as well, and that plays a big important part in your life as well.
Absolutely. Health
and wellness, man, being to some degree physically fit, eating the right foods, you know, not something that you decide is the right food, like maybe 3 or 4 donuts and a cup of coffee, and that type of thing, but something more serious like fruits and vegetables and nuts and all this other good stuff. Will there be a nutritionist there?
Absolutely. We'll have people that have nutrition experience, and health and wellness is not just what you eat. And as you said, exercise. It's also things like sleep.
Yeah.
It's also things like recreation, and it's also things like sex. You know, that's a big part of people's health and wellness and lifestyle. So we're expecting to have professionals in a lot of these different areas to be able to be on hand and talk to people if they have questions, or to present, you know, their position or their view on. Maybe it's supplementation. You know, maybe you talked about fruits and vegetables. I've heard quite a lot over the last year that, you know, the fruits and vegetables that we eat today are not what we ate 10 years ago, or not what we ate 30 years ago, or not what we ate 60 years ago, because of a lot of the processing that we've had to do in order to be able to make more broccoli grow per acre. You know, that broccoli doesn't have quite the same nutrition that it used to do. So there's quite a few people that they add additional supplements, or they add, you know, more fish, or they add, you know, less beef. You know, there's a lot of different ways to approach that diet. But yes, we're going to have other people that are going to be able to speak on those different topics.
Okay, are you a vegetarian?
Me? Hell no.
You?
No.
What is your favorite food?
Oh, goodness. It's not good.
Okay, good. How about you?
I like a big good hamburger. Oh, yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah, why not?
Okay.
Are you a vegetarian?
No. I'm a combination of vegetarian and vegan and stuff, you know, because I don't like doing big steaks, you know, red meat and stuff like that. I'll do fish and I'll do chicken. A friend of mine recommended that I go to a steakhouse and try a good steak, you know. I said, well, maybe one day I'll do that just for the heck of it, because like most of the steaks I had in my lifetime, believe it or not, man, I never liked the way when I began chewing on them, you know, I'm reminded of what I've seen on TV many times, you know, just fall off the bone and all this other good stuff, and it's never that. I said, man, good Lord. And I don't mean going to a fast food place getting a steak or nothing like that, man, you know. So I'm looking at maybe going to some steakhouse or restaurant and paying some extra bucks for a steak just to see how it feels, you know, do steak and vegetables and things like that. Because what I'm finding, either you're vegan, if you're vegan or vegetarian, somewhere along the line you're going to eat the red meat. You know, that's what I'm finding, you know, because of the B12 that's in the red meat, you know, which you don't get being a vegetarian or a vegan. That's it, man. You know, I think I could be maybe a vegetarian or vegan for like maybe a week, and then I have to start, you know, combining stuff, you know, with fruits and berries and nuts and doing smoothies and things along that line. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So you're not a vegetarian, Lashana?
Not at all.
Have you thought about it?
Never.
Oh, I did.
That's kind of interesting, because I remember, and I grew up in the South, and from time to time, we would eat a meatless meal. And I would hear from some friends of mine sometime, out in the public, they go, a meal ain't a meal without some meat. Something like that. I'm going, oh, Lord. Then, but as you go and you grow and all this other good stuff, you begin to understand some things along the way that assist you in understanding, like, it takes far longer to digest red meat than it does vegetables and fruits and nuts and berries and that type of thing. Even with fish and chicken,
right?
Because of your digestive tract and things along that line, man, it could be quite challenging. That's the other thing too. We have to become, I think, more aware of what our body can do and what it cannot do. Just from a physical standpoint, like how does it work in terms of digestion and elimination and things like that. Because it's a work of art. It's an intricate work of art, man. It really is. The Creator knew what he was doing or she was doing when they put us all together. Yes, they did.
Well, there's, however many generations that we've grown up where we didn't have the abundance of meat.
Yeah.
We didn't have the abundance, but we were still, it was still a very much a big part of culture. It was very much a big part of sustenance. If you can capture and slaughter, a few antelope in November, then you can have the meat and you can have that sustenance throughout the winter when you don't have the grains that are going to sprout up in the beginning of the spring. When you're developing those societies, when you're developing those cultures, there's really good reasons, why we like to eat meat, why we like to have that protein. It creates a balance. It creates, a wide range of opportunities available for us. We aren't limited necessarily to one plant or one kind of animal. There's a lot of those factors that go into all the different things that we eat and why we like to eat them and how they help us to feel good. And there's so much history that as much as we might have some learning and education now, it's going to take a while for us all to change. If there's something that that we need to go to, it's going to take generations for us to get there.
You better know it. You also mentioned briefly about relationships as well. Will there be relationship counseling at the Trailhead Conference?
Not counseling specifically, but we do have one of our featured speakers. Her name is Brenda Poinsett. She's a relationship expert. And so one of the things that she's going to specifically talk about is how do adults figure out how to have friends as they are adults. That's actually quite a difficult thing for a lot of adults. Maybe we'll get married, have some kids, and then in order to have a separate friendship relationship, it's actually quite difficult for a lot of people in American modern society because they spend so much time, children primarily, and then their intimate, relationship secondarily, and then that leaves something very, very far behind to have that friendship relationship. Well, I know that she's going to be speaking about a lot of different topics on those adult relationships. But relationships aren't just, we talk about relationships, I want a relationship. We think of that as intimate, romantic. There's a lot of different ways that we interact in society that are a relationship. So again, whether it is, adults as friends with other peers adults, or it's those adults, how do they relate to their parents? How do those adults relate to a boss or a spiritual mentor? There's a lot of different relationships that you can talk about in this area. And so we're, again, providing one avenue, a little bit more information about how do you discuss and how do you explore those options.
Well, you know what? You know as well as I do that the relationship dynamics have changed tremendously from what they were 10 years ago, man, to now. Because now we have cell phones. We have a lot more channels on cable TV. Hey, today, we got a sale going on where you can get 2010 channels. You can look at everything, cell phones for the most part. I've seen numerous occasions where you had 4 or 5 people together and they all got the cell phone. 3 got the cell phones out, texting or checking the emails or something like that. They're going, yeah, I understand. I hear you. Don't hear nothing, I think we kind of got caught up in multitasking and that type of thing, and thinking that we can talk and gaze at the doggone cell phone. And I see this also happening with a lot of the children as well. Parents are talking to them, they got the doggone cell phone out. The parents are down with it. It's okay.
Well, I admit I'm not. There's no electronics at my table, at my dinner table. There's no, if we go out to a restaurant, cell phones get put away, and my kids know that. They've recognized that. But I agree with you. There's a lot of challenge in managing those relationships. How do you interact with somebody? How do you look at somebody in the eye? even just a relationship between me and a person at a grocery store. I've had conversations where I'm checking out, and that person has never once looked me in the eye.
Mm-hmm. They're looking down.
Yeah, they're looking down. They're looking over at their register. They're looking at something else.
Yes.
And I'm looking at them, and then they'll say, "Thank you for coming in." And they're looking at their piece of paper as they're handing it to me, and I'm looking at them in the eye, and I'm like, "Why aren't you looking at me? Right. You're talking to me. Why aren't you looking at me?" So that's a relationship that has suffered in some of this modern area.
Okay, good deal. Well, hey, look, Stephen Mathis, world famous.
I will be.
Yes, already.
World famous LaShawna Simmons.
Yes.
Hey, blessings to both of you. Thank you so much for coming by and sharing some time with us. Once again, folks, they got a conference coming up on September 20th, 2019. It's going to be held in St. Charles, Missouri. Once again, how do I get in touch with you?
You can visit trailheadconference.com. Mm-hmm. You can follow on social media at the Trailhead Conference, I believe. That's Facebook and Instagram, and I believe also Twitter. Mm-hmm. Or you can send an email to me, STEPHAN, at trailheadconference.com, or send an email to LaShawna, LASHANA, at trailheadconference.com. Just one N, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Blessings to you. It's been real. Peace and blessings to you. Enjoy this day that the Lord has made. Yes, indeed. May all your wishes be fulfilled, and I am that I am. Great. People of God, thank you so much for hanging out with a guy like me on KXEN 1010 AM and 104.5 FM. This has been the Great Gospel Experience. And by the way, the Great Gospel Experience is sponsored by Evangelist Felicia Davis and the 24-hour prayer line. If you need prayer for some of life's many challenges, then call Evangelist Felicia Davis and her staff of the 24-hour prayer line and let them pray for you. They can be reached at 314-312-7680. That's Evangelist Felicia Davis and the 24-hour prayer line. 314-312-7680. Peace and richest blessings to each and every one of you.
Start your morning with the gospel truth.
God has equipped us. He's given us everything that we need, not only for our own personal lives, but so that we could affect our nation.
Listen as Andrew teaches the truth of the gospel to the body of Christ, with an emphasis on God's unconditional love and the balance between grace and faith.
The devil hates every born-again believer, but he cannot just devour us. He doesn't have the power to just kill you, to destroy your finances, to destroy your family.
The gospel truth, weekday mornings at 9 on 1010 a.m.
KXEN 1010 a.m. is Faith Talk for St. Louis.
Well, could it be that your midlife crisis is because Christ is calling you? Answer the call. I am of the belief that somebody somewhere is depending on you to do what God has called you to do. In Jesus' name. Well, looks like mostly sunny today with a high of 88 degrees, currently 79 in St. Louis on your Faith Talk station.
10 a.m. KXEN St. Louis.
KXEN St. Louis.
This is the old Trailblazer broadcast. This is Pastor Albert Pendarvis. That on a daily basis. Been here a long time now. Many of you know the old Trailblazers preaching for several